Printing in SimSol is made very easy with the use of the global print screen. As an adjuster or a contractor, you know how important it is to present your claim documents very nicely, very neatly. That's exactly what the global print screen does. It also has some features in it that'll help remember the way you organize your documents and save you some time in the long run when it comes to compiling your different documents in a claim to be submitted to the carrier or a customer or an examiner. So to get to the global print screen, I need to be inside the file I want to print. So as you can see, I've got the claim tree listed on the left side here. I'm in the actual claim. I'm going to go up to the top of the screen and click Print. And as we look at the global print screen, you'll see it's basically comprised of 4 different sections. In this first section over here to the left, these are the available print items. These are all the different components of the claim that you have completed thus far and are available to print. Moving over to the right is the selected print items column. So as I come over here to the left and select what I want to print, I'll go through the process of moving those items into the selected print items column and then organizing those documents in the order I'd like to print and then finally printing the file. Now over here on the right is print options. Every time I select an item to print and move it into selected print items, depending on what type of document it is, whether it's an estimate or photo sheets or a report, each one will have its own specialized print options that I can select, and we'll take a look at all this stuff here in just a minute. And then finally down here at the bottom left, print group templates. This is a very useful tool where I can store a snapshot of how I want to print my documents and restore that snapshot so I'm not having to compile this list every time I go to print a specific type of claim. So those are the 4 main areas. Let's go ahead and start selecting some items to print and see how this works. So say for instance I want to print my building estimate. I would come over here to available print items, scroll down, find the building estimate, highlight it, and just hit this green arrow here to drop it into selected print items. Now that the building estimate has been selected for printing, I have all these different options here as to what I can include in the print job regarding the building estimate. This would include things such as how the header will end up looking, if I want to include a cover page, different options for the actual estimate itself, what I can include with line items, what to exclude. There's different appendices I can print. I can select for the estimate if I want to show the actual unit cost, show a blank area there where the unit cost would be, or just show an empty line if I wanted to just pencil in cost for whatever reason. And then lastly, I could include some information about the database that I used to write the actual estimate. So if I wanted to include other things, not just the building estimate, I would come back over to available print items and say for instance I wanted to include some photos. I would highlight photo sheets, hit the green arrow, and that would place photo sheets in my selected print items. And then finally on the print item screen I have different options here for how I want to print the photos. If I just wanted to print a couple photos, I could highlight those and bring them over and they would print in this order I see here, or I could just bring all the photos over if I wanted to make sure I'm printing all of them. This has some additional options like how many photos I could print per page. By default we use 2, so I'm going to leave it there. Now you'll notice as I start to build this list over here under selected print items, this is the order in which these items will print. So if I did want my photo sheets to print before the building estimate, I would just simply highlight photo sheets and use these arrows down here to toggle those items up and down the list to achieve the correct order. So for this example, I'll include one other thing. I'm going to include a diagram that was done for this particular file. I'll go ahead and bring it over. And you'll see for the diagram there's only one print option here, which is stretch diagram to fit page. And that just means that when we go to print, it will make sure that it uses all the available space on the page to display the diagram. So the last thing I want to cover is down here at the bottom left, and these are the print group templates. If we imagine that this particular sequence of documents is a format that I'm having to use very often, where I have to submit the estimate, photos, and a diagram, I may want to save this as a template so I can recall it in any claim that I'm printing that uses this very same format. So to do so, I would just simply come down to the bottom and click New under Print Group Templates, enter the template name. In this case, I'm just going to call it Template 1, and hit OK. And to show an example of how that works, if I now remove all these different items from printing, but then I come down and select that template that I just created, it should place those items back into the selected print items list in the order in which I selected. So you can see how that'll save you a lot of time in the future, not having to build this list every time you want to print. So now that I'm ready to print, I've got my items in their order, I've got the different options selected. I just come up to the top and hit print. And there's a series of options that I can select here. By default, preview will always be checked. That allows me to actually preview the document before I print it. I may want to review it before I print it to make sure everything looks in order before I actually print and I'm not wasting a bunch of paper. So as I'm viewing the preview, I can flip through page by page and it'll tell me how many pages are actually in my claim. And once I'm satisfied with that, I can either print directly from the print preview, or I can exit and go back to the print option screen and select the print option directly from here, which would be by selecting printer. It'll list the printer that I'm using and just click OK. One of the options you'll probably use most often would be the PDF option. So I can click on the PDF button over here on the left, click on this option to save the PDF, elect where I want to save the PDF document, give it a name. I would hit save, and upon returning back to the screen just simply click OK, and that would create the PDF for me. And then finally I could also select this file option, which works very similar to the PDF, except it allows me to save into different formats other than PDF. So I could save to an RTF file, into a JPEG format, or even into HTML. So for this exercise, we'll just save this as a PDF. I'll go ahead and select PDF. Once again, click the Save button. I'll give this file a name and call it Claim File 1 and hit Save. It returns me back to Report Setup. I'll go ahead and hit OK. And once that screen disappears, the PDF's been created and I'm all done printing. So that is the global print screen, very easy to use. Take advantage of the print group templates at the bottom, very useful, will save you a lot of time in the long run, and that covers the global print screen.